My name is Steve Ball. I am the announcer for the 73rd Ohio Volunteer Infantry Regimental Band that you see in front of you today. And we are going to be doing about a 1-hour concert of some of the most popular brass band tunes of the American Civil War. The music of the American Civil War was one of the most important components of the war. It controlled the morale of an army. General Robert E. Lee said you cannot have an army without music. General Grant wasn't quite as eloquent. He said, I know two tunes. One is Yankee Doodle, the other one is not. But he still understood the importance of music. As the American Civil War began, it was required that every Union regiment have a brass band before they could be mustered into service. So community musicians became highly sought after as the war began, and as the war began, every regiment did indeed have their own brass band. The 73rd Ohio Volunteer Infantry was certainly no exception, raised in Chillicothe in November of 1861. The picture you see over on the right side of the room is the actual 73rd Ohio Volunteer Infantry, and right out in front is its brass band. By July of 1862, the United States Congress decided these bands were way too expensive to support, so they ordered all of them be disbanded. All of the musicians at that time were promoted to private. They were hidden in different companies throughout the regiment. The men were usually taxed anywhere from a dime to a quarter a month to help maintain the instruments, and just about every regiment in the Union Army kept its brass band. That picture was taken in February of 1864, so it's obvious that the Ohio 73rd certainly did not listen to the United States Congress. So, we're going to go ahead and kick things off. The band today is under the direction of its founder and director, Second Lieutenant John Huffman, and we are going to kick things off with a Claudio Grafula arrangement from 1861 of the Star-Spangled Banner. The Star-Spangled Banner, of course, written in 1814, did not become our national anthem until 1932. During the American Civil War, it was considered nothing more than a folk song. But anyway, Grafula was one of the most prolific brass band arrangers and conductors of the entire 19th century, and he was serving with the 7th New York Volunteer Infantry when he wrote this particular arrangement. So if you'd please stand up, put your hand over your heart. Veterans have the right to salute. Remove your hat as the band performs our national anthem. Tune the band would like to do for you today is an interesting little arrangement called Puckwudgie's Gallop. Everybody says, what is a puckwudgie? And that's what I said to John when he sent me this title. Puckwudgies were actually little elf-like creatures that were feared by Native Americans, and they became part of American folklore in the 19th century. So puckwudgies were actually things that people believed in. In 1855, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, after reading about puckwudgies, wrote that particular line or that name into the Song of Hiawatha that he wrote in 1855. That poem would inspire Francis M. Scala, who was an Italian immigrant who was born in 1814, came to the United States in the early 1840s, joined the United States Navy as a musician, found out that seasickness was going to kill him, so he got out of the Navy about 1846. In the late 1850s, he joined the United States Marine Corps as part of their band. By 1861, he was the official bandmaster of the United States Marine Corps Band. He held that position throughout the Civil War. So it was Francis M. Scala in 1861, inspired by Longfellow's poem, would write the Puck-Wudgie Gallop. That's exciting. Scala was also noted, he was the guy that wrote the melody for the United States Marine Corps hymn, and he was also the bandmaster that took the directive from Abraham Lincoln to the surrender to the Confederate Army to play Dixie and welcome the South back into the Union. The Puck-Wudgie Gallop. Kitty Dear was also known as Fare Thee Well, Kitty Dear, written by George Root in 1852. Root would go on to become one of the most prolific, well-known composers of the American Civil War. He co-wrote this tune with a lady by the name of Fanny Crosby, who would go on to become very famous for writing some of the finest hymns and gospel songs of the 19th century. Do You Miss Me at Home was written by Carolyn Atherton Mason. Set to music by S.M. Grannis. This song was also published in 1852. Both of these songs were very, very popular parlor tunes or minstrel songs during the 1850s. As the war began, they were adapted for brass band, both North and South pipe composers, and this is just one more brass band arrangement of both songs. Most of you are old enough to know these, and I can tell that. Well, I come from Alabama,